be more aggressive? And they said, yes. He said, we need to be more aggressive, and that's exactly what they're doing. 11 kills.
Wait, so I just saw Reject Scarlet, T1, and TSM Entity, they all died to the blue zone.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Blue zone is the biggest threat in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Be careful of the blue zone, because that's it. They just set up the rotation too late, and also it was a very unusual circle rotation. They couldn't expect it, but now Ernie was the M16 once again. Great shots happening earlier. Looking for Braga, as it does indeed connect with the M4. But he needs the rest of his team to really follow suit on this fight versus Bigatron, and also versus King of Gamers Club, as a Soup is just on the lower ground, but really has no angles to peek from. He's got to try and stay low. He can't take this fight versus any of these two teams.
You still have one member left of Box Gaming. Down on the south side of the circle. Synergy rotating and wrapping around onto the southwest. But Team IND, like I said, who got 11 kills so far, ready to claim some more and take control of the circle. The blue zone closing in. Galaxy Racer Celts also pushing their way in from the outside of the circle, along with the 3 Chicken Dinner team of You Do Gank.
Damn it, You Do Gank, be able to make it through over to the eastern side. Celts Rocks is going to be very close by, so a fight could be breaking up, but also Lewis of Box Gaming, the only remaining player down south, going to maybe get involved with Synergy very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. But now, Soup has once again, the last player of King of Gamers Club, got an angle. Bigatron, do not want to allow him to make it out alive. He's going to go straight back into the water where he came from, and he's just going to avoid that fight entirely. He knows he just can't take, he does not have any advantage in this late game.
Just call him the merman of ERANGEL. As he kind of made his way on land and now has gone back into the sea. As Mavi and Orange Rock. Mavi is knocked down. Brew is going to be last player standing. Kratos, along with Trance and Snacks, firing their way through. IND still up as a full squad. I told you, they are on the west of the circle, dominating this area. But as the blue zone closing, they will be getting closer and closer to the side of RRQ. And RRQ, the only team inside this top 16 to have more kill points than placement points.
Bigatron, as they were able to push back King of Gamers Club back into the water, that gives them a little bit more of a leeway to make it over to the compound over here right next to RRQ Athena. I like that. Every single time that they win something, win a fight, they make it and turn it into something more valuable for the later stage. That's always something I enjoyed from Bigatron's gameplay, and they even might just get the kill onto Soup. And there you go, they get it, and that's King of Gamers Club out in 10th position.
The only risky thing about the compound is, yes, even though it's a compound, it's kind of in a valley, it's low ground, so there is that kind of risk. So we'll have to see if they do go for that port of call. Because they're on that hill overlooking the compound, they can make calculated decision based on this next circle shift as it goes to the west, right into the hands of Team IND and RRQ.
I like also the fact that they have Slayer. Even though he's split away from the team, they got a 3-1 split. He's got the high ground down the south. He's going to give not only information, but pressure on all the teams trying to get themselves a nice little position in the circle. So I think that here, the 3-1 split, normally I'm not too much for it, but I love it in this specific scenario, Imperial.
Now, there is one little tiny building / area that is in the center circle that could be occupied, but now as Celts are on the side of the hill, on the southern part of this blue zone, outside the circle, Rocks, player I've commended. Celts in general have been very consistent. They're now in the top 9 once again. Can they get another top 5 finish? It would definitely spell very good things in the overall standings, because they do currently find themselves in 4th.
One win and they could get himself in 2nd position right behind you. I think that like any game could not just catch up to the 3 Chicken Dinners of you, dude. That's almost impossible. But we'll have to see. But definitely I do think that a good attempt is possible for Celts. We'll have to see as he tries to rotate in. But now back on over to RRQ Athena. Still it was a 4-man team pushing on forward on the eastern side. But they get actually cornered up potentially by Bigatron very soon. As they go over the dip, Bigatron could have a huge backstab opportunity on RRQ.
They've kind of given the high ground over to RRQ, and that could actually go against them. I'm a little bit surprised about that, because they would have heard the shots by BTR onto King of Gamers earlier on, and I'm all for playing for kind of late game, but don't give over an area that is actually quite valuable inside the circle.
There's also the edge, right? That means that if the circle moves away, which it potentially will, that means they're going to be having BTR going down here, and they could potentially pick them up. It's like it's a double-edged sword in a way, so it really depends on how well they can pull off that middle position in the circle. As now also the last member, Rocks or Celts, will go down, and so will the entirety of their team. So that's 6 teams remaining in this game. Megastars trying to make their way through, but no way, Jose. There you have it. Losing a few extra. They still got 2 players though in the circle currently, which having that 2-2 split did work out, but you do go now in 6th, which is still a pretty good result overall for them.
It's not bad. It's a little bit.
It's 100 normally.
It is what it is. At the end of the day, they've gotten the job done in the first 3 games that they kind of, at least in these 5 games, can sit back and relax. But now down on the dip, the grenade comes through from Microboy onto the knockdown of Swag. Gonna leave Encore on his own on the side. But my lord, I just dropped my pen. That was so clean. BTR, they're on 4 kills, but what accuracy.
Micro boy, I mean, when you're downhill like that, Grenade just chuck it over, a little bit of a throw, and he's just going to slide his way through to the enemies.
You know what I picture with Microboy every time he throws a grenade? That beautiful smile on his face.
That beautiful smile. Oh, man. You shouldn't have told me that. Now I'm going to be daydreaming. But, yeah, so we talked about already the fact that RRQ, they got themselves that position, and now that's actually come into effect what I was mentioning earlier, right? The double sword is actually going to be helping out a little bit RRQ Athena, because now Bigatron, they got to go downhill.
Now, they can sweep down south, right? It could be risky, or they could in some ways sweep up north, but like you mentioned, it's definitely not easy for them. They're going to have to try and fight their way in. Do they have the utility? Do they have the smokes that they've picked up from killing the likes of Megastars, taking down King of Gamers? It's something that I'm sure they'll be looking to use should they have them, as Synergy are still inside this game as a 2-man squad. Schreider and Ted, Synergy, a team that we've definitely been impressed with throughout the World League so far. Now BTR now sweeping their way across. Gonna go from building to building, but actually avoiding that and going full sender.
Oh, no. Bigatron, I'm sorry, but what was that? I mean, at least they have a car a little bit far forward so they can use that as like a mini compound, but still, that is not Stonks. That is definitely not working out. That was not a great investment. And now Ryzen still looking for an angle. He sees Synergy, he sees all of those utility, those smokes coming out. Ted is just going to be tumbling down, but he still has to make it even further. He needs to make it on the other side of the road to make it out alive. He's getting pressure down. Can he crash into that rock? He gets there, but unfortunately it will be a little bit too slow as Ted will get knocked away and actually falls to his doom.
Yeah, it's going to be the Synergy. They made a push, they made a call, but it didn't work out in the end. We're down to the last 3 teams. RRQ, Team IND, and BTR, but the team that's outside the circle as the Blue Zone's making its way in on phase 6 is BTR. They alerted the attention of RRQ the second they started rotating in. They paid the price. They lost 2 members, and now they're pinched up.
Team IND, they activated almighty circle magnet and they got the circle in their favor. Phase 7 might also be the case, but RRQ Athena, one thing for sure, they're going to have to move away from that position and they might just get backstabbed by Bigatron, but Bigatron, they're in a lot of trouble right now. The Blue Zone on their tail. They have to move on forward with all of this smoke also coming out from RRQ Athena. Might give them a little bit of protection. They do make it actually pretty far, but Ryzen will get knocked away and they're down to now only 1 member, but at least they make it in the circle.
Now, there is a drop moving its way down that is close to the members of BTR, but as they did survive into the circle, they are going to get pinched by potentially the members of IND as well as RRQ. Trans looking to cook up the grenades. They know exactly where RRQ is. You say IND have been gifted the circle, but they've also earned it, getting 13 kills up until this point.
And they could pick up way more Imperium into this one. They could get up to 19 kills total if they get all of the frags in this lobby, but I like it. Ernie knows that Bigatron were around there earlier, checking a bit of utility. They want to get really too involved. They don't want to take this fight head on, but they might just have to. They confirm Ryzen. Now down to only 1 player. That's going to be Lux. He did some great clutch plays, but this time will not be the case as Bigatron get eliminated in 3rd position. 2 teams now remaining. It will be a 4v4.
You do see the members of IND, they're split up on a 3v1. You see Snacks flanking his way around, might be able to look for the bodies of RRQ. All 4 members of RRQ close together. So on one hand, that is going to be firepower should they find a target. But when you look at eyes, when you look at positioning, Team IND kind of have the advantage.
One issue I'm having right now is the fact that they had so many smokes that they popped earlier in the fight versus Bigatron. They have maybe no more. If they do not, that might be actually the end prematurely for RRQ Athena. If they still have a few though, they have to pop it up right now. Actually, that crate could be pretty helpful.
That's what he mentioned earlier on, that kind of RRQ were kind of using to their advantage, but of course they got pushed on by RRQ and the RRQ have overtaken that spot. The side of the hill dip favoring Team IND a little bit, but it's also helping RRQ. It's a little bit of a stave off. The circle on the phase 7 has shifted down south. Trance is outside the circle, but the other 3 members are in.
What I love of RRQ Athena right now, they've got a 2-2 split coming out, keeping 2 players on the high ground, 2 players on the lower ground to make sure that they're not going to get wrapped around and give the high ground over to Team IND. It makes a lot of sense. It's very smart. And Team IND now, they know that they can't push in. Trance was the one that was trying to pull off that rotation, but now he had to go back to the rest of his team. They want to take it as a 4-man squad.
If I was Trance, I would actually flank around the other side.
That would be hard.
Because I feel like it's a little bit unexpected. When it's unexpected, it can be like, here's Johnny's surprise attack. But let's see how it goes down, as Trance is going to potentially get inside the buggy, alert the members of RRQ, maybe pull off a bit of a surprise.
Maybe a little bit of misinformation, but I do think the Team ID, they definitely do not want to breach this one. But the Snakes has been working out for RRQ Athena, able to make their way slowly but surely over to the circle. Grenade coming out, will it connect a little bit on G9? Yes, will hit a little bit of damage, but now RRQ, they are in range to try and fight back with the utility of their own Imperium, as it is a fight of rainbows and just grenades overall will be coming over these two teams.
RRQ have the advantage. They're inside the circle, they're on the low ground. If IND are going to look for the bodies of RRQ, they have to actually peek their heads further than the members of RRQ. So really, this is RRQ's game to lose.
And RRQ Athena, so far they're in 6th position Imperium. They can try and get themselves in potentially 2nd position overall if they do really well. As their G9 was burning up a little bit because of that molly, but the fight just getting closer and closer. Phase 7 is about to close up, and they go now over to Phase 8, and the circle is actually going to go not back over to Team IND. The mighty magnet has no more effect. Imperium is going to go in favor of RRQ Athena.
Snacks with the DP28 behind the US. That's burnt out right now. Nice grenade by Slayer. This is where IND are a little bit too bunched up together. They don't have the eyes, they don't have the information, and they are 1 or 2 grenades away from being exposed. I think that was smoke grenade being thrown out by Team IND to actually not distract, but actually take away visuals from RRQ. And now they throw out the Molotovs. This is very clever play.
I mean, they're just like chucking them everywhere, just like, hey, we want to try and cut off as much visibility away from the enemy team. They do not know where they are exactly, so they just got to just chuck random smokes in the open. As a nice spray from Slayer. Randomly chucked will get Ernie down on his knees, and now that's going to give the man an advantage over to Team IND, but they're not committing too heavily. They're not getting overconfident, which they absolutely love coming out from Team IND.
But Snacks gets taken out by D to either return knockdown at the final moments of this game is coming in front of our eyes. G9 with the knockdown on the Trance. It becomes 2v3.
Team IND out to 2 players, but G9, he's not going to give them enough room to breathe. He's going for the push. He gets it done, but they still got 1 player lower down, and that's going to be Team IND. Slayer can absolutely slay down, and there you have it. That was great plays. RRQ Athena will be your winners of the last game of the day. Great rotations, great predictions, and it did reward them with a win at the end.
Coming into this last game, they had more kill points and placement points. They now balanced that out very effectively with this chicken dinner. But I gotta say, fantastic game by Team IND.
Team IND, I mean, they had the mighty magnet coming up, but still, they used that position to their control. They were proactive, which I absolutely love. That was very refreshing. But you know what also is refreshing? Mountain Dew.